Alright, I wasn't planning on doing a video today, but we're gonna go ahead and do a small video. Back again with the 2003 Chevy Malibu. The harmonic balancer has gone bad on it, and it's starting to tear up the belt. It's all out of balance. It's taking the belt on and off of the pulleys, so we're gonna go ahead and replace it with the new one, which you got right here. Now, there are a couple things you're gonna need. Nothing major, nothing too bad. You're gonna need a puller set, harmonic balancer puller kit. Usually comes with about 3 different types. Set up, short bolt, long bolt, an extra extender for it. The new one's gonna come with the new cotter key. Depending on how bad the old one is or how hard it is to get it out, I may just leave it in there. This one you can rent at AutoZone or Pep Boys, and the number is going to be 27187. And it's just a harmonic balancer puller kit. It's an OEM kit. Now, I don't have any impacts or anything, or this probably already been done. So I'm going to teach you a couple of tricks on how to get this out without having to use power tools. Now, you can buy electric impacts by all means. They do work. They're almost as expensive, or if not more expensive, than good quality impacts. So a snap-on one, you're looking at a couple hundred, anywhere from $700 to $900 for a snap-on one. They are cordless, battery powered. But my thing is that I didn't have that kind of money for them, and I'm not going to spend that kind of money for them. I just can't afford it, and I don't have an air compressor access out here. So I'm just doing this at the customer's house. Now, one thing I found that's a trick, you could either use a breaker bar or you can use a torque wrench. This one I don't really use anymore, so it's kind of just that all-purpose torque wrench that I use as a breaker bar sometimes. It's going to be, I believe, 18 millimeter socket, half-inch drive. And that's going to be for the center nut, which I've already taken off right here. Now, in order to get that off, you always want to make sure which way the motor rotates. This motor rotates clockwise. So what you do is you set it on the left for reverse to back out the nut on your ratchet. And what you do is you want to take this and set it up right here. So when the motor turns over this way, it actually undoes the bolt and it loosens it up. It eliminates the need for an impact. Now you got to be really careful about this, because if you use one that's too small, it can spin up, hit other things, and break some stuff. So if you can get an impact, use an impact. But if you don't, this is an easier way. Now, as far as getting the harmonic balancer off, this is a different story. You could lower the motor down, which is usually what I would have done. With this one, because the drop in on it is about 2 inches, 2.5 inches almost, all the way through. And that's a pretty significant depth for a harmonic balancer to come out. So I'm going to try to get it out without dropping down the engine any, because I really don't feel like doing that much work as far as this goes. I don't think it should require it, which I could be wrong. We'll find out here in a minute. But we are going to need an 18 millimeter for the main bolt. You're going to have to remove this paneling. It's just a splash wall for the inner fender well. And there's another one down here that you're going to want to remove. Just a good jack stands. You don't have to put jack stands on both sides. You just need one side up. Let's see. And a 10 millimeter socket. On the bottom of that splash guard, there's 4 10 millimeter sockets, and then just a bunch of clips, tree clips that you can pull out. So it shouldn't be that bad. I'm going to go ahead and finish taking this off this way, if it does work. If I don't have to drop the motor, I'm going to show you right now what I've had to do. Now, what I've had to do is actually put the bolt in between the AC lines. And I haven't pinched any of them. They're, they got plenty of play. They're not rubbing or anything. So I got the top bolt here, another bolt here, and another bolt here. Now usually what you would want to do is tighten these up as far as they would go, and then, you know, get them even. You would put your main bolt here to go to the center, and there's a little attachment on there so that it doesn't bite into the center of the crank. And all that does is just keep it and puts pressure on it while this pulls out. So it's gonna do a motion like that as you tighten it. And it's just, you turn right and it goes in. Now you may need something to give you a little more leverage if you're, you know, using a ratchet like that. I'm hoping that there's enough room in between the actual body and the harmonic balancer just to drop out, so I can put the new one up and then just put it back in. And that's the hope, at least. Now usually on these, what you would want to do is use an impact to take it off, use an impact to put it on. It would eliminate a lot of time and a lot of fuss with it. But since I don't have that, I'm kind of hoping that this is going to slide on a little better. I'm going to put a little bit of grease on this just to see if it'll slide on a little easier without me having to use the pulley puller in reverse to push it back on. Hopefully it will. Just take your time, and I'm going to do another short video on the rest of this, or I may just combine it into one clip and show you guys the end result. Now the thing about this is that it does have this inner ring. This is the inside of this, so this goes into your motor like that. This ring right here is for the crank positioning sensor, and all it does is read the gaps that you see right there and tell your engine, hey, I'm right here, fire, 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 you know, kind of deal. So a lot of times if you ever get a crank positioning sensor fault light coming up and your check engine light's on because of this, I think it's like a 1366 code, what it could be is that this has a lot of grease buildup, and that could be from a seal failing on the front of the engine or just a bunch of dirt built up. Either way it goes, it's always a good idea to change out that front seal while you got this off. I've already done this seal before in the past. It's been about a year. I told them they were going to need a new one, and now the seals have failed on the harmonic balancer. There's a rubber bushing in between it that is failing, and I'll show you guys here. Right here, this is a hard pressed rubber in between it, and all it does is cushion it, so it absorbs the vibration as the engine is turning. But what ends up happening is that rubber starts deteriorating, it breaks apart, and it'll start wobbling like that, and it throws the whole thing out of balance. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace this one, and this should fix the problem with belts being chewed up. I've already had to replace 2 serpentine belts on this, probably within the last like 4 months. It's getting really bad, and I told them, you know, you might as well just stop driving the car, or you're gonna throw another belt, and it's just a waste of money at that point. So I'll show you the end result here, and if there's any problems I run into or anything, I'll show you guys that as well, because you might run into it, and I'll show you how to overcome it and how to get past that. So I'll talk to you guys here in a bit.